Myself and Martin. Now, what do we take from that session, Christian?
A solid start. I mean, it's the track's going to ramp up a lot. It's still pretty green. It's not used a great deal around here, so always a lot of track evolution. But Max seemed pretty happy. A solid session for Yuki as well. So a reasonable start to the weekend.
Yeah. Okay, we'll come back to that. I want to talk about the other seat alongside Max Verstappen. But can we go back a couple of weeks, obviously, to the incident at the end? We didn't get a chance to talk to you afterwards. We understand he apologised to the team. Did that happen? When did that happen?
It happened in the debrief. It was obviously a very frustrating race for him and of course for the team. So it was one of those things that he accepted that with hindsight, I'm sure he wouldn't have done it. But there was a whole bunch of circumstances that led up to it.
They did. But, I mean, if this had been a less experienced driver, not a four-time world champion, do you as team principal have to take him aside and reprimand him and say, well, what are you doing? You're costing us points here.
Of course, you always talk about these things in private. And, Max apologised to the team. He knows that the penalty that obviously went with that was severe. You're always learning in this life, and there will be lessons taken from that race for sure.
You can see moments over the years where Max just gets angry, loses his calm, loses his rationality. Do you feel that?
Look, he's a driver that drives a huge amount of emotion, and it's part of gives him the brilliance that he has is the emotion that he drives with. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and occasionally you make misjudgments, and we've seen it with all the greats, whether it was Senna or Schumacher or all the great champions over the years. And I think the most important thing was, he came back, he immediately apologised to the team, and it was frustrating because obviously he lost a lot of points on that day.
Let's go back. Let's have another look at it. Obviously, as you said, it was a series of events. So from the restart, he didn't really want to be on the hards. We can talk about that. This was the move that George off the track, and then he was told to give the place back.
Yeah.
Didn't need to give the place back upon reflection. How much responsibility do the team take for giving him the wrong information? Or maybe could he have stayed out? Should he have stayed out on the softs?
Well, look, you've got to wind it right back. I mean, we went on a three-stop strategy, which was playing out beautifully. It was the better strategy to be on. But, of course, the danger with that is it leaves you with very little choice available in the event of a safety car in that last stint. So the choice that the team faced was either stay on the 8-lap old tyres that he had, that he'd smashed pretty hard trying to get an undercut on Lando, at which point both McLarens would have had a free stop. He would have had track position, but they would have easily eaten him up. Or do we take a new hard? And as a team, we decided to take that new tyre versus a scrubbed, heavily used soft tyre. Now, the risk with that was the warm-up. The safety car stayed out, a reasonable length of time. Max had a big snap on the restart. He did amazingly well to gather that up, which then gave Charles a run at him. So I mean, his next lap was actually the fastest lap that he did of the race. But it's all marginal decisions that you're having to make in a split second. Of course, with hindsight, you could say if we'd have stayed out on the soft, we'd have probably finished third. We'd have had track position. Would Charles have passed us? I don't know, possibly not. But you can only make the decisions that you have at the moment in time, and with a new set of tyres available versus an 8-lap old scrubbed, it seemed a reasonable decision.
Talking of Charles, are you talking to Ferrari about going to them in the future? I heard you had a meeting with John Elkann.
Martin, this business and pit lane. There's so many rumours. I'm not going anywhere. I'm fully committed to Red Bull. We've got so much good stuff coming through the pipeline. We're on the verge of launching our own engine for 2026, which has been a massive project and undertaking. Of course, it's always flattering being associated with other teams, particularly teams like Ferrari, but no, I'm not going anywhere, not even to Alpine. As
I was going to say, Flav not courting you as well. I mean, you're in demand, are you?
So, look, as I say, speculation is rife always in this paddock, but I've been here 21 years, and I don't have any intention of being anywhere else.
Can I just go back? I know we just to finish off on the incident from last week. Who's making the decisions? on that pit wall? Who gave him they told him to basically
we have a process, and so the problem is you have 1 lap to make that decision, as per the regulations. The stills showed that axle to axle George was ahead, and George was on the radio making a large noise about he needs to give that back, he needs to give that back. It was so marginal. Obviously, the argument, was he fully in control of the car? George would have argued that he was, but as painful experience showed in Jeddah, it was all about where that front axle was. So, we felt for the sake of 2 points, it had been referred to the stewards. We'd asked race control for their feedback. Nothing came back in that. So you're trying to preempt what 3 stewards and the race director are thinking. And at that point, it felt, for 2 points, we need to concede this place. So that was the decision made, and it's so marginal.
Should Max get some more points and get a 1 race ban? I hope he doesn't, for him, for Red Bull, for Formula One, for all of us. It'd be a crying shame if Max wasn't in a Grand Prix. What would you do? Put Hadjar up into the main team, and you got Lindblad a super license this week.
Yeah, I mean, look, Arvid Lindblad is at the very beginning of his journey in Formula One, having been granted that license. So, first of all, it's a situation that we want to desperately try and avoid, and should it come, we've got enough drivers to draw upon, from the pool of Red Bull drivers.
But who? So you'd have to put Hadjar up, would you not?
We would deal with it if it happened, Martin.
However, it actually makes Sergio Perez, who's now left the team, looking pretty reasonable, doesn't it? Because actually the 2 that have come in have been a little bit further away. Yes, less experience, but the second Red Bull, as we were saying, we talked about, we touched on Yuki at the top. He's struggled since he's come in, but can you not help that second car and make it easier to drive? It strikes me that it's a perpetual problem now for you.
I think if you look at the way the cars have been developed over the last 5 years, you're always dealing with the information that you have to try and produce the fastest car that you can, and sometimes fast cars are difficult cars to drive, and Max has a very acute ability to be able to extract the maximum. Now, Yuki came in and was finding his feet reasonably to begin with, and then I think that incident in Imola did affect his confidence. But on the metrics we see, he's actually closer to Max, and hopefully with a bit of time and confidence, performances will come.
Okay. Do you enjoy Sky F1 after FP2 talking to us?
Do I enjoy?
Do you enjoy coming and talk? We have to beat up on you a bit lately.
It's
so there will be a time when we can go, great victory there, Christian.
Yeah, well, only 2 races ago, Martin. And we're the only people other than McLaren who have won a race this year. But I hope you're giving the others just as much grief as you give me.
No, it's why we put you in the middle here. It's for the old 1-2. It's for the old 1-2. Just finally, on the weekend then, what are the hopes here? Is this a track particularly, do you think, suits you?
Theoretically, it's a track that shouldn't play to our key strengths, but if you find a balance with these cars, and you can get in the window with the tire, I think the temperature, should help a little. Usually Mercedes on the cooler temperatures look a little sharper. McLaren, I don't know what they were doing in that session there, but you've got to assume they're going to be right there. Ferrari, difficult to tell. So I think it's going to be very, very close, and there's even chance of a bit of weather around on certainly tomorrow, so anything can happen.
Are we getting near the window if Max has got an exit clause, where he's nailed on now to stay at Red Bull for the future?
Well, look, obviously drivers have performance clauses in their contracts, and there are points in the year that tend to be around the summertime that things materialise. So, but I think a relationship with a driver has to go beyond what a piece of paper says. It has to be about their comfort in the team, their confidence in the team, and there's never been any discussion with Max about him being anywhere else. His commitment has been absolute. I think he's consistent in what he says with you guys. So for us, it's about, okay, how can we improve? How can we be better, rather than referring to a piece of paper? I always think in life, if you've got to refer to a contract, you've got a problem. It's about a relationship with a driver and about their trust, in each other.
Softened him up, didn't you? And then went in hard again with just that last question. Nice.
Anything else?
No, that's fine.
Yeah, you're right.
You can go now. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. In the meantime, let's...
Christian admits that he personally yanked the steering wheel and told Verstappen to let Russell by at turn 5 after that restart shambles. Max, already brewing with frustration over tire roulette and losing spot to Leclerc, wasn't exactly thrilled. He felt he'd been left no space and George hadn't been fully in control. It later emerged that Max didn't even need to hand the place back. Stewards ruled Russell had spun him off, so Verstappen was within his rights. But hindsight? That's for philosophers, not for strategy rooms. Horner made the call to play it safe, which ended up as, well, a 10-second penalty and a ticking super license bomb. With 11 penalty points now, just one shy of a mandatory race ban before July's end, Horner's begging that the governing gods go easy, hoping Max doesn't get a race ban because he is the only driver to get a win other than McLaren. Translation: I may be awful at predictions, but damn it, I'm great at spot fucking my driver with strategy. Horner, trust me, I made this totally optional rule for your safety. Sort of. Max. So I crash for fun? F for yay. We'll decide later. Everyone else. Welcome to F1, where the medium tire whispers are louder than politicians on hookers. So in short, Horner called the shots, Max took the blame, Russell got the glory, and Red Bull's strategy team, well, they got to invent new ways to unwin a race. But we are already in Canada for the next race, and I'm sure we will have plenty to talk about after the race weekend. So drop a like, subscribe, and remember, always road rage like Max Verstappen. Thank you and goodbye.